to be doing today is making some comparisons between Agile and Evolution. They actually have quite a bit in common. And we can use the facts that we know about evolution to help us in our endeavors in an Agile environment. So, first of all, I'm going to start with one of the common myths about evolution. One of the main misunderstandings of evolution is that you start with something simple, say a single-celled organism, bacteria or something, and then you go in a straight line, and then that ends up with something complex like human beings. And then somewhere along the way, maybe around here, you find monkeys. I can't draw a monkey, so I'm just going to write it. And maybe along a different straight line path, you'll find plants. Maybe fish would be here. And this is actually one of the most common misunderstandings of evolution. And it's far too commonplace. I'll give you a moment to see if you can figure out what exactly is wrong with this and why it wouldn't work. So, if instead of biological evolution, let's take a look at the chances that starting at Mount Rushmore, that's my mountain there, coming down, trying to go in a straight line path to, say, the Alamo. It's a building, that's the Alamo. So, it's about 1,000 miles away. And the Alamo is about 100 feet across. So it turns out, if you start here and randomly go in some direction, any random direction, there's about one chance in 1 million that you'll get from Mount Rushmore to the Alamo. That seems reasonable. You could gather up a million of your closest friends, go over to Mount Rushmore, blindfold them all, they spread out. One of them will probably run into the Alamo. But let's look at something a little more complicated, something a little farther apart. So here we have the Earth, and over here we have Alpha Centauri. It's the closest star to Earth. Now, it's about 4 light years away. And the star is about 10 to the 8th meters across. So that gives us about, if we start out at the Earth and go out randomly, choose a random direction, we'll have about 1 chance in 3 billion that our spaceship will randomly arrive at Alpha Centauri. So, if you gather up just about every person on Earth, make them all their individual spaceships, and then send them out randomly, one of them will probably get near Alpha Centauri. There's a good chance one of them will reach Alpha Centauri. That still seems a little bit reasonable. 1 chance in 3 billion. Well, if we look at the chances a human could have evolved randomly without any kind of natural selection, it's not even really worth defining what it is, because it's 1 chance in something larger than the number of molecules in the universe. So it just could not have happened, given the amount of time, 13 billion years since the Big Bang. Not even partly. So, that's why the straight line approach is absolutely wrong, and we need a different model. are really fond of algorithms. What we're going to do is we're going to use a genetic or a evolutionary algorithm for our spaceships to start at Earth and end up at Alpha Centauri. As we're going to see, it's going to take many fewer spaceships than 3 billion. So we're going to define some things first of all. In evolution, and we're going to have our space equivalent over here. Spaceships. Evolution, we have mutations. And we're going to represent those with random hyperspace jumps, where you jump a little bit out into space, but you have no idea which way it's going to take you. Remember, they're going to be small jumps. Small. Hyper jump. And in evolution we have natural selection, the survival of the fittest, the best things get to continue on. So we got natural selection. And over here we're going to represent it with a central computer. So the central computer is going to decide which spaceships are doing the best and let those spaceships continue on and not give any more resources to the ones that are doing poorly. Now in evolution you have an environment which has things to eat and resources you need. In our model, we're going to say the central computer gives out an energy source. Now we don't have any technology that can beam energy yet, I don't think, but perhaps in the future we will. And in evolution, our basic unit is the organism. Well, basic unit is the gene, but we'll pretend it's the organism for now. And we're going to use spaceships. So apparently my camera can only take 8 minutes of video, but that fits out well because you can only put 10 on YouTube anyway. And I noticed I've been cutting off the top of the screen. So let's continue on. Now we're starting out at Earth. It's too big, I'll make it smaller. Starting out at Earth, and we're going to Alpha Centauri. Now, travel a little bit away to get out of the atmosphere, just under normal speed. Now, our central computer has energy to give out to our little spaceship. And so, what it does is it gives enough energy for the spaceship to make 5 copies of itself. Now, we don't have any technology for that either at the moment, but we'll just say there's some sort of way to transfer this energy into matter. It takes a lot of energy, so it can only make 5. So what it's going to do is randomly shoot off 5 spaceships with small hyperspace jumps. Remember, if you don't have any idea which way they're going, because we just don't understand how it works in our model, just random, completely random direction. So maybe one goes this way, one goes this way, 3, 4, 5. And I can't draw in 3 dimensions, so we'll just pretend. Now, our central computer also does the natural selection. It looks at, okay, what is the state of the universe right now? Where are our spaceships in relation to Alpha Centauri? And it says, okay, these two look like they're doing the best, so we'll let those two have 5 new spaceships. 3 go to one, 2 to the other. Maybe this one's a little closer, so it gets 3. This one's a little farther away, so it gets 2. And again, it's random jumps. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And humans are notoriously bad at making true randomness. So I'm just going to do my best and bear with me. Now these two look like they're doing fairly well. So we'll give them 5 more. Maybe this one's a little closer, so we'll get 3. Okay, now we got 3 here that are doing well. So let's divide our 5 between them. These 3 are doing well. Maybe this one and this one are doing the best. Okay, maybe these 2 and that one. These 3 look fairly even. Okay, maybe this one is the best. Let's go with that one. This one looks like the best. Maybe these 2. These 2. Now this one's actually probably close enough to just do a little non-hyperspace travel when we're there. So that took quite a few fewer spaceships than 3 billion. Just a couple dozen, perhaps. Now you could say this looks quite a bit like a evolutionary family tree. And why don't we highlight the good path? And now maybe perhaps the computer has stored information on how to follow this path again. So now we know exactly how to get there. And there's something else in nature that looks a little bit like this, quite a bit like this actually. Lightning. If you've never seen lightning in slow-mo, it looks a lot like this. It follows this cumulative selection approach, making small random jumps and then selecting which ones are best. It doesn't do it with any intuitive knowledge, it does it with physics. So we see not only can natural selection happen with organisms over a long period of time, but also happens in a fraction of an instant with lightning. So, now let's use what we've learned and apply it to Agile. Let's put Agile over here. So, instead of mutations or hyperspace jumps, we can say we're taking a risk. Because inherently a mutation or hyperspace jump is risky. For instance, if this was an organism evolving, this one died, did not get to reproduce. These all died, did not get to reproduce and give their genes to the next generation. So it's risky. I'm not going to finish. So rubbish. And now we can say instead of natural selection or a central computer, we have retro meetings where we can decide what was good and what was bad, keep doing the good, and stop doing the bad. Now, instead of environment or energy, we have resources, money, employees. And instead of an organism or a spaceship, it's a new idea. So, in an agile environment, what you want to do is take small chances over and over and over. Each iteration, take some small chances, whether it's having a developer spend a day researching something new, whether it's spending a whole iteration using a new technology. But the most important part is at the end of the iteration, decide, was this good or was this bad? Keep doing it or stop doing it. And in the next iteration, you can evolve farther. And farther and farther and farther and farther until you get to a really good place. Now, if we go back to the straight line model I started with, doing large jumps, trying to jump all the way there, you'd have to try 3 billion different things to get from the start to the finish. Whereas we only had to try a few